At a lecture organized by Freedom Under Law and the Stellenbosch University at the Department of Journalism. It's an annual lecture. It was addressed by the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batohi, who spoke about a range of issues that includes the NPA, their successes and their setbacks. But to talk to us more about the lecture, I'm joined by Judith February from Freedom Under Law. Welcome to the SABC, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
An interesting topic about the rule of law.
Well, yes. Tonight, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Ms. Shamila Batohi, addressed the audience, and what she tried to do was to put in context the role of her office in the administration of justice. And as we saw tonight, it's one part of a jigsaw, quite a complicated jigsaw, to uphold the rule of law and protect and defend, in essence, the Constitution. And she talked about the strategic interventions that her office is trying to implement, not without many challenges. But I think the challenge to all of us is to understand fully the role of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, the role of the NPA in our democracy, its independence, but also its impartiality, that it acts without fear or favour, and also to hold it to account. She was challenging the media and civil society to do exactly that tonight, but to do so on the basis of evidence. We know that we've got high levels of corruption in our country, and we know that the public in general, animated by state capture, by the number of prosecutions in relation to state capture cases, given what we heard at the Zondo Commission. As Ms. Batohi pointed out tonight, there are difficulties with that. The difficulties are often from the bottom up in terms of the police and also the evidence that can be gathered and individuals who are prepared to go into witness protection, etc. So she laid out a series of challenges. There's much work to be done in South Africa with regard to this. She did talk also about the rule of law crisis that we have in our country. And I think that given the events around the world, the increased populism, we see it in our own country, we need to take that warning seriously. We need to continue to support all efforts to rebuild our institutions after 10 years of state capture.
As Freedom Under Law, what do you make of the setbacks that the NPA has suffered in some of the key high-profile cases that South Africans were watching with hawk's eyes and were expecting results or convictions?
Well, I think Ms. Batohi tried to point out tonight why it is that those setbacks happened. But of course they are unfortunate when they do happen, because it shows that the system is under pressure, and what one needs to do is to carefully rebuild those institutions. And so we need to have, whether it's in the prosecuting authority, the police, we need to have the best people who are investigating, prosecuting and so on. And therefore to make these incentives for people to take on these positions. But also it goes broader than that. It is about a culture of accountability that we need to be fostering in our country, a culture which demands accountability from those, our public representatives, and that our institutions are rebuilt. It's been a slow process with the prosecuting authority. Surveys have shown that the public are getting tired of what they deem as excuses for the lack of prosecutions and so on. And so there are challenges. But Ms. Batohi, I think this evening what we did hear is that the MP are deeply aware of this and that there is pressure on that office. But what was also clear tonight is that state capture is one part of those prosecutions, one part of what the NPA does. But there are other strategic interventions that have happened. The problem is, of course, that because of the large-scale corruption and looting that happened during the Zuma years in particular, the public are animated by what is happening with regard to state capture. And that is understandable because we feel the impact of corruption every day as citizens. And so the NPA, I think, are acutely aware of that, but it's also up to us in civil society and the media to continue to put pressure on all institutions to fulfill their constitutional mandate.
And on the independence of the NPA, what do you make of that?
Well, I think the case was sketched tonight around acting without fear or favour, and certainly the commitment to that. It's a tricky relationship, a tricky balance, and I think that was acknowledged tonight as well. But the impartiality and independence, of course, crucial for a functioning prosecuting authority.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Well, that was Judith February from Freedom Under Law.
South Africa are rightfully outraged over the large-scale looting of state resources. We understand and we appreciate their demands for accountability for the alleged powerful perpetrators of state capture-related corruption. And we also understand the frustration by the perceived slow pace of progress on these cases. This has been the focus and continues to be the focus of much of our efforts. And we appreciate this. We appreciate that the public puts us under pressure, but we will not succumb to pressure in the sense that we will not prosecute unless we know that we meet the standard required of reasonable prospects of a successful prosecution.